Thailand has a reputation for being one of the most free and progressive countries in Southeast Asia. In 2025, it became the first country in the region to legalize gay marriage, and it has also long held liberal policies on recreational drug use, sex work, and abortions. And unlike most countries in the region, it also allows its citizens to easily obtain firearms. In spite of all of these lax restrictions, Thailand continues to maintain some of the lowest rates of crime and homelessness in the entire world. So, to those who lean ideologically towards libertarianism, this sounds like a dream come true. Finally, a country that validates their worldview. The Beach, a film released in the year 2000 starring Leonardo DiCaprio, portrayed Thailand as a borderline anarchist state in which individuals were able to live their lives as they pleased without the fear of government oversight. This film greatly increased Western interest in Thailand for both tourism and permanent living. Now, there is always some truth in every work of fiction, but not everything is what it seems to be. What if I told you that Thailand society has a much darker side that often gets overlooked? You see, there is just one freedom that Thailand lacks, one tiny right that you might care about. That is the freedom of speech. So allow me to explain. Here is a table with a list of the countries that arrest the most people for social media posts. Most of you will be unsurprised to see that the United Kingdom is number 1 on that list, a nation that appears to be doing its absolute best to turn into a real-life episode of Black Mirror. But what will surprise you is that Thailand is number 8 in the world and first in Southeast Asia by a wide margin. That is because Thailand is the type of country that will allow you to do absolutely anything you want, just as long as you aren't threatening the interests of the people in power. But which people? Well, mostly the monarchy. I could give you hundreds upon hundreds of examples of people receiving brutal sentences in Thailand for even the smallest insult towards the monarchy. But the arrest that received the most media attention is when this man faced up to 37 years in prison and was ultimately jailed for 6 years for the unspeakable crime of, guess what it was, insulting the king's dog. That's no anomaly. And don't think that as a foreigner, you'll get any special treatment. In 2011, the US citizen Joe Gordon went to Thailand for medical tourism, which is quite common, but he was quickly arrested for the crime of previously helping to translate The King Never Smiles, a banned biography which is an expose on the brutal nature of Thailand's monarchy. Joe Gordon was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for the horrible crime of once translating a book, a sentence that was later reduced to only 13 months. Australian citizen Harry Nicolaides committed an even worse crime. He wrote a book. His novel, Verisimilitude, had sold a whopping 7 copies. Just 7 copies. But one page in his book briefly mentioned the name of a Thai prince. So that author was arrested straight away at the Bangkok airport. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but he only served 5 months before finally receiving a pardon. The American professor, Dr. Paul Chambers, was arrested just this year in Thailand for being accused of authoring a scholarly work that was perceived as critical towards the Thai monarchy and its recent military aggression. He faced up to 20 years in prison, but luckily for him, the US Embassy helped him flee the country to avoid prosecution. So understand that Thailand is the kind of country that is free on paper, but not in practice. A place where citizens can choose their own destiny, so long as it's a destiny that is approved by their government overlords. In a European-style constitutional monarchy, the people elect members of parliament, and the parliament keeps the monarchy in check. In Thailand, it works the other way. The monarchy has power over the military and the judicial system, and then Those levers of power are used to control who serves in parliament, and then the parliament keeps the people in check. Thailand has effectively had 4 coups in the 21st century, in which the military or the royal judges removed a sitting prime minister from power. In every election, the Thai people play the same game. They elect people into power that promise them more rights and freedoms. The paranoid monarchy perceives that as a threat, and then they start removing people from power until they no longer feel threatened. And in the current political climate, that paranoia is stronger than ever. Earlier this year, Thailand began seizing territory in Cambodia and now appears to be transitioning that into a full-scale invasion, complete with infantry, naval blockades, and air support. The Thai Royal Army has recently announced that any speech that damages Thailand's national security will be considered a crime. In other words, if you were to post the opinion that Thailand's military actions are a textbook case of imperialism that violates the principle of the right to self-determination, you're going to jail. If you point out that their former prime minister did not want to invade Cambodia and was removed from power for having that opinion, only to be replaced by a military-approved puppet, you're going to jail. If you point out that Thailand has repeatedly refused to honor treaties and ceasefire agreements that they signed, you're going to jail. Political activists have even been arrested for the simple crime of saying that Thailand should reduce its military budget. Thailand also just announced that any foreigner who posts content damaging to Thailand's image, which, I mean, that could be almost anything, they will have their visa revoked and possibly face jail time. In fact, I'll be completely honest with you, I considered not making this video. That is because by posting this video, I have now become a wanted criminal in Thailand. Posting all of these stories about all the arrests, all the coups, all the banned books, all of these abuses of power undoubtedly portrays Thailand in a negative light, which is illegal. So yeah, I guess that means I'm just never going back to Thailand now. Sucks to be me. And I know that inevitably I will get some comments of, well, Cambodia doesn't have freedom of speech either. And yes, you are correct. Cambodia does not have the kind of broad speech protections that America has. Very few countries do. The difference, though, is that in Cambodia, there is no government agency monitoring everything you post, right? There are no thought police. There are no tourists being arrested at the airport because of something they posted on social media 5 years ago. And in the unlikely event that Cambodia's government finds something that you posted which they deem unacceptable, they just tell you to apologize, take it down, and everyone moves on with their life. Cambodia also has a royal family, and yet no one is facing decades in prison for committing the heinous crimes of translating books or insulting the king's dog. Now look, I'm not trying to judge anyone, so if you want to visit Thailand, go for it. I've been there many times, and it is a very beautiful country with great food. And if you love it so much that you decide that you want to live there, more power to you. Just know what you're signing up for. This is not a Western-style democracy. The police can check your phone at any time, they can detain and interrogate you for any period of time without access to a lawyer, and now, if you're even traveling to Cambodia, it is recommended that you do so without going through Thailand, because that in itself is enough to draw suspicion from the Thai authorities. So this is a country that is ruled by the military, for the military. And I mean, if you say you're okay with that, great. But understand that if you express any disapproval of their form of government, you're gonna have a bad time. I know that you wouldn't move to China or Vietnam and say that you hate communism, because you know that they're going to re-educate you. And you wouldn't move to Russia and say that you hate Putin, because, well, you would probably suffer an accidental death after falling out the window of a 10-story building. We all kind of understand the principle of, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. But because Thailand has this undeserved reputation of being a mystical libertarian paradise, I fear that travelers will continue to be arrested for actions that they don't even know are criminal. and I don't want you to be the next victim. I'm sorry if this video is too political for some of you. As with all of my content, my intention is always to be descriptive, not prescriptive. So be smart and stay safe out there.